Hello and welcome to... excuse. I'm trying to do a hello and welcome.
To what?
To these guys. Hello and welcome to
Hi,
Podpadstudios.
yeah.
I'm Mrs. Breaker and this is Master Maker.
Yeah, so...
And the tank is progressing.
It is, it's nearly finished. I mean, the aim was to try to get it finished for February.
And how far through are you? About 80%?
Things keep going wrong. No, I got a problem with the turret at the moment because you heard it then. It turns quite well. Remember, this whole top section weighs about 50 kilos, so...
Do I have to run away?
No, but if I move it quickly, you can hear the clutch kicking in.
I reckon it needs a bit more coffee.
No, it's the clutch.
So
basically, it's the same system that I use on the R2D2s and stuff like that. So the idea is that the motor has a clutch in it.
It's a little drill bit motor.
Like drill motors,
drill
yeah.
Motor, yeah.
So if you put your
drill.
fingers under things, it won't turn, so it won't pull your fingers off. It just stops.
It's like
But I've got to
safety.
back it off a bit. It's too sensitive.
Yeah, okay.
What
You just do that on the controller?
No, I've got to go in and do it in there. So all this has got to come off, but it doesn't matter.
Oh dear,
and then I've got
lots
my
of
little
work.
radar working, and I've got things like, I've got my lights, my little gun, and I've got headlights and brake lights, and we've got sounds as well. Oh, sounds. Would any of the sounds work? I could test those, couldn't I? Let's test a sound.
What?
I got the engine sound I'm working on. That's not the engine sound.
When you hear the air attack, you know when you're found.
That's the beginning of the engine sound. And then of course we've got...
This is that music is because one of our patrons decided we should name this one Thomas.
Thomas, so this is Thomas.
Thomas the Tank.
It's
How
Thomas the
cool
Tank.
is that? So yeah. I think we've got a load to catch up on it, which we can give you now, really.
because I've put all the autonomous stuff in it as well.
Don't tell them it now, because I think you've already told them it in the bits that's coming.
Oh, have I? All right.
Gets a bit. I know you're very interested in tanks, but everybody else probably
Well,
needs
it's
to
got to
hear
be
it once.
finished yet. I got problems like this thing's rattling around because it's not fixed in, so I've got to redo the mechanism for this. As it goes along, it's like bong, 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 bong. It just looks a bit silly, but yeah, I'll get it all sorted and then it will be almost done.
Anyway, here's the latest update. We're working on loads of stuff that's happening in the new year,
Yeah,
which we'll give you more
we'll do
details
some
on in the
more
next
shows.
video.
Yeah.
And just
Tiffany's
enjoy
got
the
some new
update.
stuff going in her as well. Ooh. Yeah, it's really good.
See you later.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Right, I was going to talk about the tank, but I'm getting moaned at the moment because the light is right above my head. And the camera person keeps saying that when I take my hat off, my head shines too much. So I've got to wear my hat. However, it's freezing cold, so I'm going to wear my hat anyway. Anyway, what have I been doing? So, there's loads. So, I've done all this top bit. None of it's kind of fixed down yet. The way a lot of this works is the panels are fixed on by magnets. So, this front section here, it's actually magnetic because this is all steel, remember? So, the panels can go in. And obviously, you can see, well, you can't really see in there, but you've got the main kill switch in there, the main speed controller, and the receiver. And really, that's kind of all that's in there. Again, it's tucked underneath in the middle, which you can't really see, is the sound system. Now, the sound system was slightly different. I talked a little bit about that before, about how I built that. And the idea is that using different relays and different switching, I can get the 6 sounds that I need into the radio realm. So that means I can actually switch buttons on here and I can trigger my sounds. But because I can switch my buttons on here and trigger my sounds, I can program my sounds. So the aim will be to produce 6 sounds that will be variable sounds. So I'll have a startup sound, I'll have an idle sound, I'll have a running sound and a slow down sound. And they'll be edited in Audacity, so they'll be kind of completely seamless. But here's the good bit. Using the logic switches, I can switch those sounds in at any particular point in the acceleration curve. So, for example, when I start up, the engine start sound will go. When I move to 10% on the, if you like, the throttle position, I'll move to a different sound, 30% to a different sound, 40% to a different sound, and I can just program it using the logic switches in the Lua script. It's really easy, it's brilliant. So you don't need any complicated sound systems with varying throttles and all that. It's really, really good. And I'm going for a kind of a jet engine-y kind of sound as well, which sounds really, really good. I'm working on this at the moment, the gun system. So you see this, again, all these top sections come off. and everything is connected via these big multi-blocks. I've got one into the turret there, which means that I can take that whole top section off, and then obviously move that out of the way. In here, again, you can't really see because it's all routed through, but there's another multi-block down inside here, so the turret can come off, and it basically allows the lower section to run without the turret. So the turret just runs the gun elevator. The sound is in the turret, and as I told you before, I'm using the JBL speaker, which is kind of in there, and then it kind of vents through the back. I've also got the autonomous system here in the back. Now, the reason it's here in the back, it's a bit of a pain this at the moment, is because of the antennas. Now, again, you can't quite see, but there's a GPS antenna just here, and there is the telemetry antenna there. And then the idea of these is they're sending telemetry back to the receiving unit, which is basically then I can do mission planning from it. So what I can do with that is I can send waypoints to the tank, and then I can basically send it off on autonomous missions on its own. That's the plan. The couple of tweaks I've got to do on that yet, and then I'll do some videos of that later on. I'll demo all that kind of working. Yeah, that's sort of it at the moment. Weight-wise, oh, excuse me sniffing, it's freezing cold outside. I probably need 3 hats on. Weight-wise, I think just under 100 kilos, which is quite heavy. But it looks good on the ground. It's solid. I've got a problem with this bearing. Now, if you remember when I made this, there was quite a small bearing, so it's not actually fixed in yet, but there is a little bit of bounce. So I'm trying to work out how to solve that problem at the moment and get rid of that, make this more rigidly mounted to lose that. And you can just see it on camera, there's a little bit of a bounce, and I want to get rid of that so it's kind of rock solid. If I'd used a much bigger bearing, it wouldn't be there, but I didn't have a choice. There was no way around that. So that's something I've got to solve. I mentioned about the clutch motor. It's making some funny noises, so I've got to sort the clutch out on the motor for the turret. And then obviously we've got to test the smoke screen system as well. Right, so this section, the top section, the reason it's got the quick release in it is because I've got to get in to change the firing control system. Now, the firing control system, as I explained in the other video, is using this blank firing system, which basically locks into the barrel. It's triggered by a servo, which is part of the barrel mechanism. So that means we can fire the blank round. So this top section needs to be removed, hence why this isn't sort of fixed on permanently. And I thought I'd add a few little bits in here. So what we've got is we've got the little radar that goes round, and you can kind of see how it's done. It's simply just, well, you can't really, inside there is just a 360 servo. This servo here, mounted to the underside of this, just simply moves the little 50 cal gun backwards and forwards a little bit. There's a couple of LEDs in this little bit in there, red LEDs, and one in here, and there is a laser here. Now, the laser is going to be used later on for helping identify distance with the autonomy in it. I'll have ultrasonic sensors at the front, so what I'm probably going to do is take one of the headlights out and have an ultrasonic sensor on each side. The problem is going to be wiring all this up. This is my biggest problem at the moment. I've got redundancy built into all these wires. So, for example, in the turret here, again, it's hard to see, but I've got 4 channels of RC available that I'm not using at the moment. I'm using about 6 at the moment. So in total, I'm actually using 17 channels, physical channels at the moment on a TDR18. And I'm running out. I need more. So it might be that I've got to move the autonomous systems back into the main body in here. But then my problem is going to be routing the GPS and the telemetry antenna. I suppose I could move the telemetry antennas to the edge of the bodywork here and then find a way to mount the GPS on the body somewhere. Doesn't look as neat as it does here. The way it's done here looks like it's just part of a tank. So there's quite a few bits to do to get working at the moment. And then, of course, I've got to continue weathering it and making it look like a tank. Might put some camouflage and stuff like that on it. But yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at.
A bit bigger. So it's gone off up there, it's going off up the garden.
It doesn't know quite which way.
It's facing like the little truck on maps sometimes spins around.
That's what.